Hello and welcome to Meteorological Instrumentation. In this video we're going to talk about what an instrument is. We're going to define what an instrument is, and then we'll talk about the different parts of an instrument. So first off, what exactly is an instrument? If you go to the dictionary, does anybody use dictionaries anymore? Well, here are some definitions of dictionary from the dictionary. What is an instrument? Well, definition number one, it's a device used to produce music, musical instrument, also a singing voice. Or definition number two, a means whereby something is achieved, performed, or furthered, or one used by another as a means of aid. In other words, to dupe or a tool. Also, an instrument can be an implement, especially if it's used for precision work. Or it could be a legal document such as a deed, bond, or agreement. But I think what we're looking for here is probably the fifth definition, a measuring device for determining the present value of some quantity under observation. But also you can think of that as instruments in an airplane that tell you the status of the airplane. So electrical or mechanical devices used in navigating an airplane, especially for the only means of navigating. In other words, when you're in the clouds. So for our purposes, we're going to say that an instrument is a device for making observations and measurements of some physical parameter. And then instrumentation is the science or the art of effectively applying, measuring, controlling instruments in industrial, laboratory, and field applications. So what exactly is an instrument made of? And there's different parts of an instrument. So we're going to go through the three or sometimes four fundamental components of an instrument. And those are the sensor, the transducer, the display, and perhaps an instrument may have an amplifier. So we'll start out with the sensor or the sensing element. And basically, that's the part of the instrument that converts the input signal into a quantity that can be measured by another part of the instrument. In other words, this is what is actually measuring what you want to measure, the sensor. That's usually connected to a transducer or sends its information to a transducer. And a transducer is some device that converts energy from one form to another. Also, you need a display or some readout. In other words, some way to make the signal that's coming from this instrument readable. In other words, you should be able to analyze or interpret the information that's coming from the transducer. So you need some sort of display, whether it be a readout or perhaps maybe a digital display. And then finally, sometimes an instrument needs an amplifier. A lot of times the sensor is picking up really weak signal. So as a result, you need to boost the signal, whether it be at the sensor or at the transducer, so that it can be displayed. So let's go through a liquid and glass thermometer. Most of you are probably familiar with this. We're going to go through each element of the sensor or each element of the instrument and talk about the different parts. First off, the sensor is the bulb. In other words, that's what you're trying to convert the energy of the molecules surrounding the bulb, transfer it to the bulb. So that is the sensor. And you can think of the transducer as the mercury or perhaps alcohol in the capillary. So in other words, the bulb measures, the sensor measures all these molecules bouncing against it. That results in the liquid that's in the bulb to expand. It fills up that small little capillary. As a result of the expansion, the capillary is filled with alcohol that expands and moves. And then finally, on a old thermometer like this, whether it be a liquid and glass filled with mercury or alcohol, there's always a display, one way of measuring or trying to interpret the change in the sensors and the transducer. So the display helps you determine what the actual value is. Also, there may be some other components of an instrument, such as an analog to digital converter. In other words, it takes some signal that's continuous and digitizes it. And another thing that you might find is a data transmission device where it takes the information and transmits it either wirelessly or over a landline to some other location. So that could be a phone line, a cable, a radio link, or a satellite link. Also, you might have a data storage device which takes the information and allows you to retrieve it through either a data logger or, for that matter, a laptop computer. And then a microprocessor that can display the information in graphical format. So those are the different parts of an instrument. We'll go through examples of those in class. Thanks for joining me in this video.